Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
I don't know if I've told you before how much I love living in Nashville. It's a wonderful place. The community of artists are amazing. The musicians in this town are some of the best in the world. And we call it Music City. And I know a lot of you think, well, it's because we're known for country music, right? And that's true. We are. We have the historic Ryman and WSM radio. But it's a lot more than that. It is Music City. And my hate for putting people into boxes like genre, saying you're country, you're folk, whatever. And we have all kinds of musicians. We have classical musicians. We have pop, and we have country, and we have jazz. We have folk artists in this town that would make you cry. It is just absolutely amazing. And the amount of young talent that we have in this town, wow. I just love to go out and watch other artists play, especially the songwriter rounds. And every now and then I come across one that I really admire and I want to have on this show so we can give a little bit more publicity. And listen, before we go on, I want to tell you, and before I introduce our guest, if you're listening on YouTube, and we're out everywhere you find podcasts now, but if you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe because that helps us. And thank you so much for spreading the word and for being with us. Our guest comes from Buffalo, New York. And then he moved here to Nashville. In fact, in December of last year, he graduated with a master's degree in commercial music at Belmont University, which is, if I had to do all over again, I would go to Belmont because let me tell you, it's probably the premier music college in the country right now. He's done so much. He's got over 600 songs, and he works as a freelance music producer as well. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He is open for so many amazing acts that we're going to talk about. And so producer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, in fact, child prodigy on the piano, and we're going to find out all about that. J4 is our guest. J4, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the podcast, Dave.
Now, I remember when I first met you, it was during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite places to play in town is the Commodore Grill. It's just great writers' rounds. And, it was hard during the pandemic. We weren't getting a lot of work as songwriters. And it was hard for places like the Commodore Grill because they had to shut down. But somebody had a brilliant idea. They said, why don't we do a parking lot party? We'll set up the sound system outside, and we'll invite the songwriters out, and people can come in their cars and enjoy. And we'll also, broadcast it a little bit so people can hear on Facebook Live. It was so much fun. We had Walker Hayes is where I met him, and so many other great entertainers, including our guest today. J4 was there, and that's where I first met you, and you just blew me away.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a cool time. I remember before COVID, when I was at Belmont, I was getting all these performance opportunities all the time. It was every day I was performing, doing something. Yeah. And then COVID hit in March, and it was like nobody could perform. Yeah. Nobody could make money performing.
How frustrating.
And the performance opportunities that there were all free because, well, you got a performance opportunity. You were one of the lucky ones. Yeah. So why should you have to pay for it? Or why, in many cases, you would have to pay for it. Yeah. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to take a different approach and a different path than other people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that. I'm not going to worry about what other people think about that I'm taking this different path towards my music because everybody's path is different. And so when COVID hit, I took a step back and focused on myself, focused on what I really wanted out of music. Mm-hmm. And it led to me developing a greater sense of self. And so this whole time when I was having to perform parking lot parties like that, it was actually me taking time to learn about myself again. Yeah. Which was really, really nice. And so you got to see me during that period of my life when I was sort of rediscovering who I am after going through 6 years of college to get trained to be somebody. Yeah.
It allowed you to take a little break and reset, And was it then that you decided to finish up your master's degree?
Yeah. So it was after COVID hit. I went on a tour that summer with the Extreme Tour. It was a really cool tour.
Tell us about that one real quick.
Yeah,
it was really cool. Yeah.
I played guitar for an artist who came out of Belmont called Taylor Zabracki. She was, I forget which company she was with. But she was with some company at the time.
Record company.
Yeah, quote unquote record companies. Now they really, well, we can talk about that later. But yeah. So in 2020, I went on this tour and it was really cool. I started off as an ancillary musician, guitarist, and I ended up becoming an artist on the tour by the end of it, performing, and it was wonderful.
And you opened for some great people, didn't you?
Oh yeah. I got to open for some really, really cool people throughout my lifetime and work with great people. So in 2015, my first really big performance was opening for Josh Turner.
How about that?
That was pretty cool. That same concert, Gordon Mote and Lee Greenwood were also there. So it was,
God bless the USA.
Yeah, it was a really, really awesome patriotic show. And then I got to my first year at Belmont sing BGVs for Cage the Elephant.
I saw that, and that is so impressive because I love those guys.
Yeah.
They're from right up the road in Bowling Green, right?
Yep, they are right up the road, and I got to sing BGVs for them with a few other people.
Again, I just want to BGVs again.
Yes,
I think we mentioned this in the past, but if you don't, it's background vocals, and that's what you did. Wow.
Yeah, so I did a lot of professional background vocals like that. That was at the Ryman, which was really, really
you
cool.
You played the Ryman Auditorium.
I did at 18, which was fun.
It was amazing.
It was a cool experience.
Yeah.
I loved it. Absolutely.
I'll bet.
It was probably one of my favorite venues until 12 Keys Saloon.
I run a Writers there. Thank you. I'll pay you for that later. Yeah, I don't think we can compare 12 Keys, although I love it, to the mother church of country music. But standing on that stage has got to give you chills looking up to those beautiful stained glass windows, huh? Wasn't that a thrill?
It was a thrill. I still have a picture of my microphone and
wow,
the entire room being empty and just me standing there.
Oh, cool.
The band leader was still checking his guitar, but it was just the lead singer of Cage the Elephant and me just checking my mic and the BGVs, and we were looking out, and there was nobody in the audience.
How cool.
Talk about a cool image.
Before the show started, obviously, because I'm sure it was a packed house by the time you guys start playing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys are so popular.
But that was, the BGVs I had to do for that were very, very interesting. They were, because Cage the Elephant, as you know, very psychedelic rock band.
Yeah, they're cool.
And I had come from a tradition of playing Broadway. So,
really?
Playing Broadway for 3 years when I first came down here from 15 to 18, and then I went to Belmont and I stopped playing Broadway at the advice of my professors.
Wow.
And I came from that tradition, and Cage the Elephant had me doing weird sirens and witch noises and screams.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, because they have all that stuff on their tracks, so all those cool noises in the background.
And you were doing it.
I was having to create those sounds on
BGVs
stage.
And sound effects.
Yeah, it was a weird
BGVs and SFX. That's you.
At least on that acoustic album at the Ryman, yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Listen, let's have a song, because you're around the dining room table. Welcome to the dining room table. And we like to have a song as soon as we can in the show. And tell us about something that you want to play, and let's go for it, man. We've got great sound in this room.
Let me find my capo here.
Your capo. I got one. Can I throw you one?
Sweet.
Yep. Here we go. There you go. Capo. We're going to change keys on you. The simple way. Here
awesome.
We go. Yeah. G4 is our guest.
So this first song I'll do, since I have a single coming out this Friday. I'll do the single first.
Yeah, and let me also tell you that we are taping this way in advance, and like today is March 20. What is it today? The 24th, 25th, something like that. 26th. What is it? 20? I lose track of days. 28th, and yours is coming out Friday. This is a Tuesday, and so this one comes out on Friday.
Friday, March 31st. So if you're listening to this retroactively, it's already out. It's called Heartbroken.
Yep.
You can find it on all digital streaming media.
Please download it. Yeah.
Under J4 and Heartbroken.
Awesome.
I know all about your heartbreak history, all the lies and the cheating, but that wasn't me. Want to put a smile back on your pretty face. Want to be the best part of your everyday. All I need is a little time. Baby, let's give this a try. You never know what we might find. I won't just stay for the highs, leave when the lows hit. I'll scream I love you and let the world know it. If you let me in, babe, I'll show you. Promise I won't leave your heart broken. Oh, 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 so leave it open, leave it open. Oh, 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 so leave it open, so leave it open. I'll be your sunshine morning, your forever good night. Make happy tears the only ones that you cry. When life gets tough, I won't walk away. I'll be there for you, be your safe space. All I need is a little time. Baby, let's give this a try. Never know what we might find. I won't just stay for the highs, leave when the lows hit. I scream I love you and let the world know it. If you let me in, babe, I'll show you. Promise I won't leave your heart broken. Oh, 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 so leave it open, leave it open. Oh, so leave it open, leave it open. I'd have to be a fool to lose a girl like you, who takes me places that I never knew, never knew. Don't know what I'd do if I don't have you. You take me places that I never knew, never knew. I won't just stay for the highs. Oh, 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 when the lows hit. I won't just stay for the highs, even when the lows hit. I'll scream I love you and let the world know it. If you let me in, babe, I'll show you. Promise I won't leave your heart broken. Oh, 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 so leave it open, leave it open.
J4 is our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. That is a live version of a song that's out there streaming right now. Did you produce this record?
Yeah, I produced it, and it's sort of this house EDM sort of style, and
nice.
So
okay,
you get sort of this exclusive acoustic look at it, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Tell me about the writing of that song. Co-writers, like we do here in Nashville? Who'd you write it with? I
wrote it with Scott Barrier.
Oh, my buddy. He's one of my favorite guys to write with in this town. He's a genius. I really think so. We got to have him back on the show. He was on an earlier episode, so you might go back and find out more about Scott. But you and Scott.
Yep, Scott and I, and then Brett Mandel as well.
Brett Mandel. Don't know him. Good guy?
Yeah, great guy, great writer. He has connections to all sorts of different companies and stuff. So
very good.
Really cool guy.
Yeah. You do a lot of co-writing. I know you keep really busy. And not too long ago, we got together with Jan Buckingham.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah, we got to get her into the Songwriter Hall of Fame. She has written so many great songs. And also on a past podcast, if you find the Jan Buckingham episode, you'll enjoy it. I really hope that you'll go back and find out a little bit more about Jan. But you write it like every week with her, right?
Every single Friday.
Every Friday, standing.
When I was at Belmont, my primary focus of research during my master's was the Nashville songwriting community.
Yeah.
So my whole focus of research was studying these great songwriters. And the first person that I put on my list of songwriters I wanted to write about was Jan.
Yeah.
You have all these organizations which do great things like Song Suffragettes and things like that.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore the original Song Suffragettes, like Jan.
Like Jan. She was one of the originals.
She was one of 2 female writers in this town when she first came to the town.
Isn't that something?
2.
Yeah, 2.
And her story is so incredibly inspiring for anyone who doesn't know of Jan. But she really has been one of my champions in this town to really show me what writing is, show me what good music is and how to write music. She really has been my teacher. You know, her and Norm were the first two.
Norm MacDonald is a great guy.
Norm MacDonald, yes.
He really is, yeah. I know you guys write a lot together, and I had a chance to write with Norm last month and really had a good time. And he's another one we got to get on the show because his story's amazing too. But what of all the, I know she's a great mentor. Is there any one thing that's, I mean, I probably there's a million things, but is there any one thing that first and foremost pops in your mind that she showed you?
Yeah. So when I was at Belmont, she taught me an important life lesson that I still think about to this day. She said, "Don't worry about the corner until you get to the corner." Ooh. I didn't really know what that meant, but it always stuck in my brain for years. Uh-huh. And I would just keep talking to Jan about what this elusive corner meant. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really understand until I've graduated college and I'm on my own. Mm-hmm. And now I've passed that point, and I realize that the world is just this wide open sea where you can do what you want. But until that point where you can actually do that, you feel like you're trapped. You do. I mean, at least a little bit by the modern education system, but a little bit by just what I was doing with myself and what I was doing in my own brain. And so Jan was able to literally speak to my brain in a way that nobody else was able to, and talk to me almost like the grandma that I never got, because I didn't really get grandparents in the traditional sense. Both my grandmas died before I really could remember many stories with them. So Jan really is my songwriting grandma, and
wow,
I
know she loves you. Yeah,
well, I love her too. She's for all intents and purposes my real grandma.
If you're not familiar with Jan, look her up. You're going to be impressed by the stuff she's done and the things that she's written. Let's talk about you, Jay. For I know you grew up in the town I was born in, Buffalo, New York. Which side of town were you?
I was born in Hamburg, technically up in Amherst.
Amherst, okay. Sure.
I grew up in Hamburg, so
I had an uncle in Amherst, my Uncle Russ, and Hamburg, not too far from where my dad grew up. He grew up in Blaisdell, and spent a lot of time in Hamburg. So, wow. So, wow.
Yeah.
Small world.
Very, very small world.
Yeah. So used to the winters?
Oh, I'm so used to the winter. I miss the snow a little bit down in Nashville. I wish it snowed more.
What? Are you kidding me?
I wish it snowed more. Because then also the drivers in Nashville would be better at driving in snow.
Maybe they'd be better overall. I moved to Nashville and I couldn't understand why car insurance was so expensive. Everything else was cool, but car insurance was like through the roof. I'm going, why? I don't know. Why. Then I got on the highway and I realized why.
Yep.
There are NASCAR drivers down here. Yeah. So I read somewhere that you were playing at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, the most famous honky tonk in the world, when you were like 15? Mm-hmm. Is that correct? How'd that happen?
I think I made my debut at like 13.
13?
With my dad.
Corrected.
But I started playing professionally there at 15.
Wow.
So I started actually getting paid for it at 15.
Isn't that something?
I think the first time we came down was either 2012 or 2011. Uh-huh. And I would have been 12 or 13 at the time.
Oh, your dad was a musician?
My dad was a piano player. He's a classical piano player, so he's played classical piano all his life. He was offered a scholarship to go to Oberlin, but he ended up going to
Canisius? Did he go to Canisius?
Not Canisius. Oh. Cornell. Other New York school.
It's funny, another small world thing. Oberlin is where I started in country music. A little radio station in Oberlin, Ohio called WOBL.
Yeah, my dad always played piano when I was in the house, and that was super huge. And then I sort of developed my abilities off of my dad, and then my grandma, who played piano by ear. And
wow, musical family. Yeah,
musical family. Yeah,
yeah. So was piano your first instrument then?
Piano was my first instrument, but I was singing before I played piano, just as part of I did voiceover and singing when I was like 5 or 6, just working with my dad.
Unbelievable.
And then I did my first concert at like 10, I think.
I'll be.
But it wasn't like a professional concert. It was just my first real professional performance in front of like 200-ish people at my hometown. But I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, I'm just a normal kid doing normal kid things.
Yeah.
Because
that was normal for you.
Yeah. It was normal for me, so it must be normal for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you find out it wasn't? That you had a special talent?
COVID.
Oh, come on. You didn't have an inkling before that?
Wow. And this
See,
gets
I
into
love humbleness from you too. I love that.
That's a lot of what is part of me, and Jan was able to. This is again a big part of Jan's work in my life has been pulling out me from the society that raised me.
Oh boy,
which is a whole that's a whole topic,
whole nother topic.
But the idea that we are something other than what we were, programmed to be by our surroundings. And so I'm slowly learning to be who I want to be without caring what other people think. And it's that fear held me back until 2020.
Well, I'd have to say that I was a lot older when I realized that. So good for you. And it will serve you well, Yeah. Can't please everybody, as they say, but you certainly can please yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So when did you pick up the guitar?
It must have been 13, 14.
Really?
Yeah, I was
already a prodigy on piano, playing classical music and things. And was it a natural progression? Was it easier to learn guitar having played piano?
Absolutely. I think piano is the most important instrument to learning music because of the simplicity of the instrument.
Everything is linear.
It makes it very linear, and then that's applicable to other instruments.
Yeah.
So it's just...
And you pick up the guitar, and there's the dang B string.
Yeah. Well, it's nice. The piano's always in tune.
Yeah, that's true. Well, most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. How about songwriting? When did you discover your passion for songwriting and your ability to write songs?
That would have been probably... Oh, no. It was a while ago. I'm thinking, when did I start professionally, which would have been sophomore year of high school.
Wow.
Or, junior year of high school. No, junior year of high school, because that's when I moved down to Nashville.
Did you? Okay.
But...
your parents come with you? Did they come? Yeah, okay.
My dad got a better job down here with Kalsonic Kansai, and I worked on Broadway, just playing
Unreal.
tunes.
Unbelievable.
For a couple of years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the people that you ran into down there that became mentors as well.
Well, there were cool people that weren't mentors, but I ran into some really cool people. So I ran into Jimmy Snyder. I ran into the lead singer of Alabama. Chris Christopherson saw me perform at some point. Or wait, no, not Chris Christopherson. A guy that looked like Chris Christopherson. I'm like, what am I making? I'm not making up stories. I'm trying to think of who these people were. There's so many celebrities.
Well, Randy Owen from Alabama.
It might have been Randy Owen, not Chris Christopherson. I mix them up so much.
Yeah.
I don't know why I mix them up.
So do I. Yeah, I got a squirrel brain.
Squirrel brain.
So, but that's cool. Neat people. I loved Randy.
Yeah.
In my radio career, had a chance to interview him 3, 4 times maybe. Even had lunch with him one time here in Nashville when I was a real young DJ, along with his two cousins, Randy and Jeff Cook. But different story, cool. Different show. So that's cool. You had a wide exposure to all types of music. So, but songwriting, was it a natural thing for you, or did you have to work at it?
It was 100% natural.
100%.
So my songwriting compared to other people go to school for songwriting where they study specifically for that. Yeah,
we know Belmont teaches songwriting. We know that Trevecca teaches songwriting because Dr. Kim McLean was the instructor who's also been on the show. So, but go ahead. I'm interrupting.
As for songwriting, I discovered that I first started writing songs on the piano around 9 or 10. And I would do it in Sibelius or Logic Pro, versions of Logic Pro / Pro Tools back then.
Okay.
Back then it was just Cakewalk and softwares like that.
Yeah.
But I would start experimenting with DAWs, digital audio workstations, and that's how I would songwrite, was track writing.
Okay.
And so I'd create tracks, and ever since I was 9 or 10, I would create tracks.
Wow.
And it was just a thing that I did for fun, and I would just do and put out music on Reverb Nation, and I was like, I got #1 in Franklin. This is cool. I'm like, well, there's a guy who's #1 in the United States, so I'm not that cool. That was like,
I still think
and so
that's cool.
I was like, I got #1 in Nashville for country or whatever, and I'm like, that's not cool.
That's not. You didn't want to really particularly be country, did you?
No, I wanted to. Well, at least for a while, I thought I was country because I had played Broadway. But what got me out of country was performing with Michael W. So
Michael
really,
W. Smith, right? Yeah.
Michael was
amazing Christian artist.
Yeah, major mentor in my life.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was probably the biggest musical mentor before Jan.
Before Jan?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Before Jan and Norm. I have to put Jan and Norm in sort of like the same category because they're like my songwriting grandpa and grandma.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's like
to say. Norm, are you listening, buddy? Jan, are you listening? Listen. J4, for another song, I just want to talk about the name real quick. J4. Your name is a lot longer than that.
Yes.
Go ahead, tell us.
So the full story behind my name is Joseph Henry Wandass IV. My dad's name is Joseph Henry Wandass III.
Third, Grandpa?
Joseph Henry Wandass the Jr. And then my great-grandpa would have been Joseph Henry Wandass Sr. And you see, I'm already messing up just saying that.
Yeah.
So rather than that, they just went by my dad, who's just Joseph, or Dr. Joe, and then I go by J4.
Yeah.
And so I've always gone by the fourth Joseph or J4.
I think that's so cool, bro. J4, that's it. Absolutely. So there you go. Yep. J4, pick up that Martin guitar and play us another song, will you? Is that okay?
Yeah.
And tell us about this song right here.
We should do a song. Let's do a song that probably might be coming out around the time that this podcast will be coming out. Because I'm probably going to be releasing. I believe I'll be releasing this one in May. So
in May, okay. Well, so I know this is out in May. So yeah. So hopefully this will be the new single by the time this show publishes. We publish every Wednesday morning, by the way, very early in the morning, so that when you get up early on Wednesday mornings, you can have a cup of coffee and a Songwriter connection. So J4 Wandass is our guest, and this is his current single right now.
Facing the crowd that your eyes catch. She's a girl next door in 1F. She's a disco ball dancing queen, reaching out a hand saying dance with me. Sunrise smile behind the coffee counter, my unwritten story, greatest adventure, poetry in motion walking toward me down the sidewalk. Rembrandt angel leaves me in a free fall. Oh yeah, she could be my all-American. Oh yeah, my all-American beauty. Oh yeah, she could be my all-American. Oh yeah, my all-American beauty, beauty. My all-American beauty, beauty. She's a big surprise that I didn't see coming, the once in a lifetime I've always wanted. Needle in a haystack, oh I love the way that she's a dazzling diamond. Doesn't know she's stunning, to the world she might be just another woman. But I'm a Shakespeare dreamer who couldn't live without her any night or day, cause she makes me better in every way. Oh yeah, she could be my all-American. Oh yeah, my all-American beauty. Oh yeah, she could be my all-American. Oh yeah, my all-American beauty, beauty. My all-American beauty, beauty, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, she could be my all-American. Oh yeah, my all-American beauty. Oh yeah, she could be my all-American. Oh yeah, my all-American beauty, beauty. My all-American beauty, beauty, yeah. My all-American beauty, beauty. My all-American beauty, beauty. Whoa.
J4, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast, the story behind the songs after this important message.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
All-American Beauty was the song, huh?
Yeah.
Streaming out there right now. So tell us the story behind it.
Yeah, that one's just one I wrote with Scott again. Scott's getting all the cuts lately.
I know he is, isn't he? He's great.
He's been hitting my artistry right on the head lately.
Well, he was a co-writer on Squirrel Train. I don't know if you know that, my first single.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Scott's been on fire when it comes to
he really has.
songwriting.
Yeah.
But yeah, this song, it really is about my fiance, Elena.
I was wondering at the time you were singing that. She's a wonderful gal.
She is the epitome of what I think of as like the perfect American girl.
Yeah.
She's just, she's the face in the crowd that your eyes catch. She's the girl next door in 1F. She really is that girl.
Wow.
She's a disco ball dancing queen, reaching out her hand saying, "Dance with me." She's that sunrise smile behind the coffee counter. She used to be a barista at White Bison, and I remember she would always give me free coffees when I would go there, and it was just really sweet. During the beginning of our relationship, and
is that where you met? Where'd you meet?
No, we met at Belmont.
At Belmont. She's a Belmont student too.
Mm-hmm. She studied music therapy, and she's a music therapist, a board-certified music therapist here in Nashville.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great work. Wow.
It's incredible. For anyone who doesn't know what music therapy is, it's a field in which they use music to accomplish non-musical goals or therapeutic goals. And so they are able to make people with dementia remember memories from
Isn't that something?
50 years ago they forgot. It's just crazy the things that they do.
Yeah. And for more on that too, let me refer you to a past. Not too long ago, we had Tracy Richardson on the show. And Tracy, also a music therapist. And so we talk a good deal about that. That's incredible work that Elena does. And that's amazing. So
Tracy's great too. I met her the other week. We're working on our first production together. So
are you good?
It's gonna be cool. Scott, Tracy, and I.
Yeah. Oh my God. There you go. There's some talent right there. Awesome. Very good. I kind of lost my train of thought because I got on that squirrel train again.
Squirrel train.
So again, you produce as well as sing, and I think that's such an advantage, I think, in this industry because you write a lot of songs, and you have over 600 songs that you've written, right? And what do you do with them all? I try to make a work tape on every one of them, so I at least have some kind of physical evidence that we put all that work and sweat into it. And then, if I get a song I really like and I want to have it produced, then I have to pay someone to do that. And find a demo singer and all that. But these are all things you can do for yourself and that you have done for yourself. And so that's pretty cool.
It is nice. It cuts a lot of the money out of it.
It does.
And for anyone who thinks, oh, I can't do this because of the money. Right. I think a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
Because of the barrier to entry. Mm-hmm. If you have an iPhone, you can do it. Like if you have an iPhone and a voice memo app, you can become a songwriter.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of the American dream.
It really is a beauty. And even like TikTok, and we talk about, the government wants to ban it. Some of them do. But, all on your phone, you can produce this little video, this little tiny movie, and throw it out to the world. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Absolutely. TikTok has been a blessing and a curse for my career. I feel like I would be happy. I'm happy with my career on TikTok, but I would be happy if it never existed, too.
Yeah.
I'm sort of a moderate when it comes to TikTok.
I am, too.
Because I'm like, I sort of like Instagram better, but TikTok is good. I did a song challenge on TikTok last year called 365 Songs.
I was going to ask you about
days.
That. 365. You wrote a song a day for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yep, last year in 2022. I started January 1st, and obviously there were co-writers and there were people involved. And I had some guest performances on there. Over like 30 people collaborated on the project.
Wow.
And I wrote 365 songs in 365 days straight. I ended up writing over 400, but I only chose songs that I would want to put on there. And then there were some songs that I wrote specifically for TV film that really didn't work for the series, so I'd have to write extra every single night at like 11 p.m. because I'd be done with my work. But it was a lesson in discipline, that's for sure.
I'll bet. Yeah.
And it led to about 1 million views on TikTok overall across the series.
So did you post each and every song every day? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
And about 10,000 followers after all of that in 1 year.
Incredible.
So it was a test marketing growth sort of experiment, and it worked. But TikTok, they don't care about 10,000 followers; they care about 10 million. So,
well, maybe someday,
maybe one day,
absolutely,
if I'm lucky.
How about another tune? Can we talk you out another one? Maybe take us through the nuts and bolts of how it was written and who you wrote it with?
Yeah.
That'll teach you to put that guitar down when you're around the dining room table. You're listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast from Buffalo, New York, but here in Nashville since age, 15, 14? J4, Wandass is our guest. Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo.
Yes. So speaking of Buffalo,
you have a song about it, don't you?
I do have a song about it. Since we're talking about the TikTok series, when the sixth song I released, I think I put it out like the 5th of January 2022, and within a week or two, by my birthday, it had gotten like 50,000 streams, and I got called by WYRK, which is the radio station up in Buffalo. Nice. And they said, hey, we want to feature your song on our platform. And so they wrote an article up about it. And Katie Dye, she's awesome. She did an interview with me about it, as well as played the song on the radio, the TikTok, and they called it the best TikTok, and is about Buffalo. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is the hometown radio station I listened to just 10 years ago.
And then you were on TV though too, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Then I released the song as a single after that because they had played the TikTok on the radio. And so I produced it, released it, and that led me to another performance opportunity where I got to open for Daryl Worley.
Oh, good. Great guy.
Oh, what a cool guy.
Yeah.
And premiere the song for this really patriotic event honoring all of those who have served and lost lives in the Iraq-Afghanistan wars. Wow. So it was a really, really cool event, and I got to release it for a really good cause. There was just a lot of heartbreak in Buffalo last year, and so I wrote a song that speaks to the heartbreak that Buffalo has endured, but with a little bit of strength for the future that we have. So this one's called Buffalo.
Buffalo, all right.
And for anyone out there who's not from Buffalo, I hope this makes you think of your hometown.
Yeah.
I was born in the city where I've come to know as a blue-collar town where I learned to grow. And as I find myself in this old ball cap that says Buffalo Bills, you can't ever go back. My papa built on that old gravel ground where the big men are throwing the pigskin around. When Kelly was king and Cuomo a clown, as my papa and uncle built the South towns. My Buffalo roots can't ever be torn. A city so cold, yet always so warm. And even if Nashville lights shine more, my Buffalo roots can't ever be torn. Bethlehem steel left and put us through hell. My grandma went broke, the economy fell. And yet through it all, she'd always tell me how wonderful life was, how we're blessed to be well. Oh, my Buffalo roots can't ever be torn. A city so cold, yet always so warm. And even when Nashville lights shine more, my Buffalo roots can't ever be torn. My Buffalo roots can't ever be torn. Now the city I love made itself a name by the hard work and sacrifice 17 gave. The burden of thousands now rests in his hands. As his cleats meet the ground where my papa still stands. His cleats meet the ground where my papa still stands. Oh, my Buffalo roots can't ever be torn. A city so cold, yet always so warm. And even when Nashville lights shine more, my buffalo roots can't ever be torn. My buffalo roots can't ever be torn. My buffalo roots can't ever be torn. My buffalo roots can't ever be torn.
That song can bring me to tears. Jay Ford. Buffalo, where I was born, where you were born.
Yes.
And I forgive you for wearing your Buffalo Bills hat into my house around my dining room. I was born in Buffalo, but I was raised in Cleveland, so I had to wear my Browns hat to combat that, though. But no, what a great song, and I mean, it's so heartfelt, and the images. When you talk about things like Bethlehem Steel, my grandfather worked there.
Yeah, my grandma worked there.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of my uncles worked there. My dad, for a little while, worked at Bethlehem Steel and then went to Ford Motor Company. Mm-hmm. But these are just things that they touch my heart, grab my heart too. And like you said, if you're not from Buffalo, think about your hometown as you're listening to that song. But I made sure all of my relatives in Buffalo heard this. I posted on my Facebook with your TV performance and said, "Hey, Buffalo, listen to this."
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, it was a really fun time going up there and feeling like for the first time I got this sort of minor star treatment in my hometown. It was very weird.
Yeah, I bet, huh?
I mean, people were buying things for me and taking pictures with me, and it was the first time I ever experienced that.
Wow.
Because I was a really, you look at me, I was the bullied kid. I was the shy bullied kid. So turning into some sort of public figure was never my plan. But, my plan was originally to go do chemistry up at MIT or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Because I thought, it was going to make me money. And it also is a really cool subject. I love doing chemistry and math, but music just called me.
I think math, it's in music, they go hand in hand. I think, although I've never been great at math, but I think it's a language just like music is, So.
I think there's a poignant reason why Einstein said that he wanted to be a musician in another lifetime.
Oh, I didn't know that. Very, very cool. So did you have help writing that song? Did you just dig deep and pour it out yourself?
I wrote that one in my bed alone at 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
In my feels, no guitar, just sitting in my bed, just writing it down. And I heard the chords in my head, so I was hearing the chords along with the melody, and the song just came.
That's really a talent to be able to do that. Yeah, that's something. So you heard the chords and the lyrics all together and just wrote it down?
I heard the whole song.
The whole song?
It came out in 15 minutes.
Wow. What inspired you to write it? Was it the shootings in Buffalo? Or was it even before that?
It was before the shootings, but I did release a version of me. I got a little choked up by the end of the first chorus, so I couldn't even put out more than the verse and the chorus about the shootings. But I did write it about the Bills winning the AFC East in 2021. And then when 2022 came along, because I wrote it in 2022 about them winning the 2021 season. Because, as you know, Bills fans are incredibly diehard.
Yeah, they definitely are. The Mafia, right?
Which I do subscribe to Bills Mafia.
Yeah.
For life. But I enjoy dabbling and watching the Titans. I cheat on the Bills with the Titans sometimes.
I do the same thing with the Browns. And, so we've had hard years in Cleveland. So I find myself sometimes rooting for the Bengals because I lived there for 25 years, and the Bills, and of course the Titans as well. When they play together, when they play each other, oh my God, it's tough. It really is. I want to talk to you a little bit more about your musical strategy because it's changed recently, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to release a lot more music, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. Because some people, they release like once a quarter, every other month or whatever. Tell us the strategy that's working for you these days.
Yeah. For me, the strategy that's working now, really, the strategy I used to do was perform. And I used to perform all the time, all these different places. And I didn't even have social media. For the longest time, my social media wasn't available to me till college. So the way in which I was raised, I wasn't allowed on social media in that way. So my social media was different. And so I always just had this real life experience until 18 where I didn't even know about social media outside of the Facebook hate page they made against me. Outside of that...
Are you kidding? They made a hate page for you?
Middle school, yeah.
Yeah. And you wrote a song about that, didn't you?
Called No Hate. I actually wrote it before that, but they were mad at my success due to the song because the song won a national award.
Jeez.
With the National PTA Award, something like that. It won some award. And the reason being, I wrote it about this... there was a kid who... He was gay, and he was a really kind kid. I knew him. He was at a school up in the North Towns. I don't want to give away the school because they would know which one.
Okay.
But this kid killed himself because he was getting bullied because he was he was homosexual.
Oh, no.
And I related to that because I was getting bullied for being just different, and I was getting called gay, all this stuff. Gay was being used a lot as a slanderous term, and I just didn't really appreciate that. And then all the time I was constantly getting put down because of my musical ability.
Yeah.
And people were just very envious of it. And it culminated in my biggest competition at the school, making a Facebook hate page or a hate group where they started commenting about me, the school, all this stuff. My parents found it, and they all got kicked out of the musical for it. I wasn't involved in any of it. I couldn't even respond. I had my mom respond for me because I was so terrified.
Bad.
And so the cyberbullying got bad. The physical bullying got bad, too, after that, after the cyberbullying. So it was like all that bullying really changed my perspective, and it made me shelter myself, and my parents shelter me for a while. And once I got to college, the veil was torn open from that, and I had to grow as a person and as a human being. So now I'm in the real world where I do get bullied, and I do get people who say really hateful things.
That's
and
terrible.
I have to learn how to deal with it, and that's the hardest thing. I think
Does it come out in your music?
I did write a song that talks about that journey called Bigger. I wrote it with Tyler Bank and Annalisa Rotella. And that
Bigger.
tune...
And that's out there, too.
That's out there on Spotify, Apple Music. And it talks about my struggle with bullying, talks about the Facebook hate group. I wrote an open letter talking about my experience with Better Music, which is just an Instagram channel that does motivational, inspirational stories. And so I wrote with Virginia, with her at that company, and then it didn't get a ton of commercial success, but what really did touch me was one of my best friends from middle school who I had not talked to in 6-7 years. He texted me the day of the release, and he said, "I remember every single time that we were in the classrooms together.
Wow.
And every single time that they were bullying you for your music and me for my weight."
Oh, boy.
Because he was a big guy. And he was overweight, and we'd joke with each other, but he was getting really bullied. Like, he was bullied even worse than I was. And this song touched him so deeply. And that meant more to me than a million fans.
That's payday right there.
That's payday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who cares about the money when you can change someone's heart?
Is there a way you can play that song for us?
Yeah.
But before we do, and I want to end on that note, but before we do, I want to go back to that strategy. You're going to release one a month now, right? Yeah. So, because you've got lots of songs, and you do produce, so it's probably easier for you to do it than most songwriter artists out there, right?
Yeah, I'm going to start releasing once a month. I've moved and transitioned over the past couple of years, acquiring the physical capital, as in like the technology needed to become a digital creator, because the music industry's moved online. It really has.
It really has, yeah.
So with that being said, I was an in-person creator. I was always performing. I was never... Yes, I had my basic studio that I would produce my music out of, but I wasn't able to serve other clients. And so my long-term strategy now is to produce for myself and other clients.
Great. While
releasing music on top of it in a commercial style. So I'll be doing mostly pop, like Ed Sheeran. I would put myself in sort of the same lane as a Ed Sheeran-y, Louis Capaldi style artist.
I've heard you sing sometimes and sound like Michael Bublé.
Yes, with my jazz stuff.
You have jazz influences too, don't you?
I do have jazz influences.
Yeah. That's awesome. Where can we find your music and you?
Yes.
You've got your own webpage, right?
Yes, so j4sings.com, letter J, number 4, SINGS, j4sings.com.
Visit it, please.
That's where you can go find my bio, EPK, pictures, press, all that fun stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then you can find links to all of the various media that you may want to find, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff.
Good.
As for music, just search me J4, letter J, number 4. And then probably it's easiest to search me through J4 Buffalo, since there's a few other J4s.
Yeah.
At least right now, I've got the trademark filed, so it's like
good.
If there's a J4 listening to this, go dispute it. Sorry, I've got the trademark filed.
It's mine. Yeah, there you go. J4 has been our guest. You're going to take us out with this song. Better.
You know, I'm actually going to do it in this key.
Why not?
Why not? I haven't played this one in a little bit, but it's very close to my heart, that's for sure.
Leave it to me to put you on the spot, sorry.
Oh, it's all good. One of my favorites.
When I was small, I didn't understand anything but love. All I knew was being innocent and young. And then I turned 13. I saw my face on that Facebook wall, full of hate. It broke me down, but I read it all. And all the hurt, it made me stronger. And every word was like a fire, burning me up, lighting me up, lifting me higher. I wish I knew then that there's a world outside those hallways that doesn't always tear you down for who you are. If I could do it again, I'd go back to the start. I wouldn't change a single scar. I'd just leave them on my skin, 'cause they led me to something bigger. It's hard to see till I moved away and found a clean slate in Tennessee, where I could be anything I wanted, with a dream and just getting started. All I needed was a chance to be me. Every late night, up for hours, every word was like a fire, burning me up, lighting me up, lifting me higher. I wish I knew then there's a world outside those hallways that doesn't always tear you down for who you are. If I could do it again, I'd go back to the start. I wouldn't change a single scar. I'd just leave them on my skin, 'cause they led me to something bigger. I wish I knew then that there's a world outside those hallways that doesn't always tear you down for who you are. If I could do it again, I'd go back to the start. I wouldn't change a single scar. I'd just leave them on my skin, 'cause they led me to something. I just leave them on my skin, 'cause they led me to something. I just leave them on my skin, 'cause I was meant for something bigger. Oh, 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 oh.
J4, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. It's such a personal song, and I have to tell you, I'm sorry you went through what you went through, but you know what I admire about you is you took that and the attitude you have. Not only did it make you stronger, but you used that to help others, you know, and to write a song like that. So my hat's off to you. My Cleveland Browns hat. I don't take that off too often.
Especially not for a Buffalo fan.
Yeah, you know, I've heard people say, other songwriters say, you know, I have this incredible song, but I'm afraid to share it because it's just too personal. I don't think other people would you know, want to hear something that personal. And I always tell them, and tell me if you agree, if it's personal to you, it's going to touch somebody. It's gonna. And I think every song needs to be out there, but especially that one we just heard. That's incredible. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's probably one of the most important songs in my life that I've written, and that's how I came to terms with the intense bullying.
Yeah,
a lot of kids find ways like cutting themselves, turn to drugs, turn to alcohol, turn to gangs, turn to violence. My way was turning to the piano or turning to music.
Turn to music. I love that.
So
there's the name of our episode right there.
Turn to music.
Turn to music. J4, thank you. You're an amazing person, Spirit. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and I wish you tons of success. More.
I appreciate that, Dave. Same to you.
You deserve it, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.